patch 8.5 was just released for Fallout 76. This is going to bring in several things, some new content for you to experience. Those long-awaited and very controversial repair kits are now in the game, as well as the now typical both fixing bugs and creating new ones. So in this video, I'm going to give you a nice overview of the patch and talk a little bit about why this patch in particular has been pretty controversial, especially when compared to past ones we have been seeing. If you're on consoles, this patch was likely around 2 gigabytes to download, while on PC it was around 1 gigabyte. And one of the main new pieces of content we saw with this was the new camera quest and the addition of a new camera item. So one of the interesting parts of this new quest, in order to actually start it, you have to find this Taurus body. This is pretty standard. It's how many quests do begin in this game, except the Taurus body isn't in a fixed location. Depending on which server you're connected to, the Taurus body will actually be in one of 10 locations, I believe, on the map. So a lot of people are just server hopping around to some of the other known locations trying to find this thing. So if you just want to find the Taurus body and get the camera immediately, that's not something you can easily do. There's a bit of a process involved in doing so. Alternatively though, you could definitely look at this as Bethesda just trying to encourage exploration for newly added players, so people just naturally stumble upon a Taurus and get to unlock a camera as a result. And although that definitely is a plausible explanation, I imagine most people playing the game right now aren't new players and they just want to get the new camera added in with the new update. So for that reason, a lot of people were questioning this decision. Otherwise, the quest itself is pretty nice and short. The story can be pretty sad, even though it is extremely brief, and basically once finding the camera, you're going to go around Appalachia and take pictures of their bucket list, all the places they wanted to go and take pictures of. After completing the quest, you do get a zoom lens for the camera, but otherwise for the camera itself, there are right now 2 different lenses, so you could have the regular one that's just what you see is what you get, or the zoom one that does have 3 zoom levels, as well as this camera operates as a weapon, so you have to craft film for it and actually reload it once you run out of film. As you take pictures with it, they will go into your photo mode gallery, and as it stands right now, that's pretty much it. You can buy a skin for the camera if you'd like. Bethesda has mentioned in the future they may add in more lenses, but otherwise it's a decently cool item that hopefully gets expanded. I think it'd be really nice if you could actually print out some of these pictures as camp objects. But one part about this that people quickly realized was there's a pretty massive glitch or bug with this camera. So I'm not trying to promote exploiting if this is considered an exploit. So I won't tell you explicitly how to do it, but there's a bug with the zoom lens. And after you activate that bug, each time you use an emote, it'll actually slingshot you around. It's really easy to do this on accident, and a lot of people have noticed this. If you're on a server, you might just see some dude go flying across the map. I found players doing this in an interior. I did it accidentally several times and just got slingshotted to another section of the map. As of right now, I haven't seen an official response by Bethesda around this. But moving on, the other thing we did get are these brand new repair kits. These were discussed a few weeks ago, and naturally the community was very against repair kits. As they're implemented in-game, there's 2 versions, the basic repair kits and the improved repair kits. What these will do is actually repair an item to full health, so that could be a piece of a power armor, it could be a weapon, a piece of armor you have in your inventory, or camp items. And there's really 2 sides to the value here. First and foremost, it does make it so it doesn't require any items, just a repair kit. So if an item is really expensive to repair, you could just use a repair kit to repair it instead. But alternatively, you also can repair things on the go. So just by inspecting any item in your inventory, you now have the option to use a repair kit to repair it. The basic repair kits you could get off the Atomic Shop for 50 atoms, while the improved repair kits only drop from Scorch Beast Queens, and they will over repair items, making it so they last longer. So these repair kits have been a center of a lot of debate and controversy. A lot of people looking back to a couple of statements. First and foremost, a few tweets by Pete Hines from before Fallout 76 was released. In this, he mentioned that all Atomic Shop items will be cosmetic only. Separately, in an interview, he also said that all Atomic Shop items will be cosmetic only and not pay to win. If you Google pay to win, it basically means pay to advantage. So you could pay real world money for any form of in-game advantage, which repair kits fit that definition. A lot of people like to change or modify the definition because it doesn't fit their narrative. In reality, they aren't truly pay to win in the sense that you're not suddenly going to be a god at this game after buying repair kits, but you definitely do have an advantage over other players. With the release of these, Bethesda also released a statement around it, saying they've examined the feedback since they were originally announced and have kind of concluded that they're sticking by their original statement with the Atomic Shop, that items on the Atomic Shop will not provide a competitive advantage in game. And then they link back to the original announcement post around the Atomic Shop. And they further go on to say that basically they view repair kits more as a convenience option, a utility item, and that if they find it being a competitive advantage, they will make changes to them. So there's a couple of things I have to say about this. First and foremost, as far as Bethesda looking at the community feedback, cool, but if you just ignore it all, what does that matter? The vast majority of the community feedback was around breaking promises. It was pretty clear that the Atomic Shop was only going to have cosmetic items. There was a ton of articles about that, and several statements made that confirmed it. And with these most recent additions, it feels like they're really moving the goalpost. Now it's not cosmetic only, now it's that it doesn't provide an in-game competitive advantage. Even further, to argue that, I would say repair kits absolutely provide an in-game competitive advantage. If I'm fighting a Scorch Beast Queen and my best weapon breaks, I can just go onto the Atomic Shop, quickly buy a repair kit, and repair my weapon in a matter of 30-40 seconds, and I'm immediately back into the fight, compared to another player that would have to fast travel away and spend the resources to actually repair their item. And you could generalize this exact same situation to PvP scenarios, where you're in a gunfight with another player, have an armor piece break, and just quickly use a repair kit to get back into the action. Now, as I mentioned before, the competitive advantage here isn't huge, but I don't think you can make the argument it's not a competitive advantage. I think one positive change, even though I think the repair kit should be removed entirely, but since that probably isn't going to happen, would be that you can't use a repair kit within, let's say, a minute of taking damage or being in combat. So you'd have to get safely away from everything going on, so it really doesn't provide a competitive advantage. But in the end, the repair kits really strike me as one of those things that will be an atom drain. Maybe right now you're really against them, but maybe in a couple of months you're playing Fallout 76 or the new DLC, and you're like, oh no, my gun broke, and you have the option of just 450 atoms, which isn't a ton. Pick up a few of those repair kits and repair your item instantly, or go out and maybe try and find all that adhesive that you are missing. And over time, I think a lot of players will do this periodically and get rid of some of the atoms they did have, making it so they eventually end up purchasing bundles to actually buy the things they want, and make it less likely people only rely on the free route. Naturally, this doesn't apply to everyone. There's a lot of people that will continue playing the game in a normal way just using the free means, but I really feel like there's going to be an increase in utility items, and it's really geared around getting people to spend some of those atoms that they earned for free, hence the extremely low-cost nature of the repair kits. And just to be totally clear on this, I know I don't call for repair kits being removed, and the real reason is I don't think it matters. My personal view is that repair kits have no place in the Atomic Shop. They said cosmetic only. There should only be cosmetic things, not things that give you an in-game advantage no matter how small. But I also think that it doesn't matter. No matter what I say in this video, how many angry threads are made on Reddit, Bethesda is going forward adding in new utility items. I think we start with repair kits, later we'll get other things. I think this is one of those decisions that's coming from the higher ups at Bethesda. They want more revenue out of Fallout 76, and the way they're choosing to do that is by selling utility items. They probably realized that this would be a PR hit after the statements made by Hines in the past, but they also probably realized that people would gradually get over it. And I would say if you truly don't want to see this continuing, your best course of action is to never buy a repair kit. Make it so this isn't lucrative for Bethesda to do, so as a result, they'll stop doing it. Unfortunately though, there's a huge subset of players that don't pay attention to forums that probably don't even really see an issue with this. They'll just go the convenience route, so even though the protest route is probably the most appropriate, I don't personally think it'll be effective. And yes, I know people criticize me buying repair kits for the sake of this video, but I really only did that for educational purposes, to give an informed opinion on them now that they're here, and I'll never be buying them again. If you ever see me having more than those 4 repair kits in my inventory, definitely call me out on it. But also something pretty interesting to come with this update. On the Atomic Shop now you could find a new Assaultron head weapon. This thing looks cool and it definitely seems pretty interesting. It's geared around the DLC that came out a few weeks ago. I'm not sure why they're releasing it a few weeks later, but hey, whatever. But something really interesting, even though it looks like a weapon skin, this is actually a totally separate weapon, and even says so in the description page on the Atomic Shop. So even though most weapon skins you can purchase from the Atomic Shop, it basically is a new option you have on existing weapons. So that combat knife I've been holding in my inventory, I can now change to look slightly different just by applying a skin to it. But with this new Assaultron head, that's not the case. In order to get this different looking version, you have to craft it at a weapons workbench. In order to do that, you have to have already learned the recipe for an Assaultron head. I found one at Phoenix for 1500 caps. And then following that, it actually is a totally separate craftable item with different crafting requirements. It's not really a huge deal per se, it's actually more expensive and does exactly the same damage as a typical one. In-game, the new version features custom sounds, which is pretty cool. It's just really odd how they did things differently this time. Let's say you have a legendary Assaultron head and you just want to now apply a cool skin to it, you will no longer be able to. Although this too has a couple of bugs. Firstly, if you don't have the plan, it'll make it look like you can craft the imposter head and it'll actually give you the sound effects, but you'll never craft anything or spend materials. And there are other people reporting that they actually do have all the requirements, have learned the plan already, and they can't craft it either. But that's all secondhand. I had no problem, but I've been reading several posts of other people that have been having issues here. We also got the first of the Plague Rider skins in the Atomic Shop. This one looks really cool. I've been holding out to actually purchase one of these. It is really expensive at 1,400 atoms, which is roughly $14 unless you earn them all for free, but it probably is one of the coolest skins we've seen thus far, at least in the top 3 or 4. And the Sheep Squatch plushie is just magical. With this update, we also saw a ton of things in the way of bug fixes. Many of the bugs that were introduced with the patch from 2 weeks ago were finally fixed. So now the friends list is back in order. You can apply mods to power armor and weapons. The repair menu works. They said they fixed hitching, which if you've seen it in my videos, you'll notice I just have like this big stutter all of a sudden. It was in the patch notes as being improved. I noticed no difference. It's still a very large issue that several people are going through, including myself. Like I have footage of one point in which where I literally froze for over a second and a half in game, which is pretty crazy. That's like a pretty big gameplay impact. But a couple of other things, they actually made it so the Fosnot Parade masks are now invulnerable, so they won't break from condition, and nuke zones are now considered Radstorm, so you can complete challenges in them. Unfortunately though, because it wouldn't be a Fallout 76 patch without some new bugs added in also. One that's just kind of funny, with the new camera, we got a bunch of new camera challenges. One such one being take a picture of the Sheep Squatch. And you have a very long time to complete this one. I think somebody added it up and apparently it's like 11 million years or something ridiculous like that. As of right now, the Sheep Squatch still isn't in game. I'm not sure why this challenge went live, although some were speculating that this could mean the Sheep Squatch is coming next week. If you guys recall, last week we got camera challenges, even though the camera was delayed. Maybe the Sheep Squatch was initially planned for this week, but since they delayed the camera, they also pushed the Sheep Squatch back by 1 week, but forgot to edit its challenge. So this challenge went live even though it wasn't supposed to, similar to how the camera challenges did. So that could mean that the Sheep Squatch is coming out next week. I certainly think Bethesda is alluding to this. I even saw earlier today, the official Fallout Twitter account actually liked a tweet of somebody questioning whether or not this was a Sheep Squatch tease. If you're not aware, when you actually encounter this group of Brahmin in game, it'll play this sound in the background. Although someone actually tweeted me a video that they somehow managed to complete the Sheep Squatch challenge when taking a picture of Freddy's House of Scares, which is part of the camera questline. I'm not sure if there's a genuine connection there or just another glitch in Fallout 76, but that is interesting. There also is another photo challenge for taking a picture of an alien, but taking a picture of the Flatwoods monster doesn't count. So I'm not really sure what the solution is there. There might be aliens hidden somewhere, or that could be another point of future content. Also, as I mentioned before, we had that camera teleport bug. I've been seeing a lot of people have these pretty large map glitches where either parts of the map will disappear or they'll get some really weird color distortion. I've seen several people reporting on this. I'm not sure what the cause is. I haven't experienced it myself, but if you are experiencing this, tweet me an image of it. I'm curious to see what the common ground between all of the cases are. Either way though, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this one. Another rather unfortunate update in my eyes. That camera bug in particular, like, how did that get past QA? Did they not emote ever after using the camera? As of late, I've made several videos talking about how Bethesda is having issues with updating games or leaving out things from patch notes. I feel like this update is just more fuel for the fire. Like, I'm not making this stuff up. I'm not cherry picking the bad stuff. There's a lot of other cool bug fixes. It's just each time they fix several bugs, they also create new ones. But now what? For the camera bug, are we gonna have to wait another 2 weeks to see a patch for that? That just feels kind of ridiculous to me. Like, it's not one of those things that should be in a $60 AAA game by a well-respected game developer. Either way, that's it for this one. As always, again, I thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Hopefully you found this informative. And with that, I hope to see you all next time. Later.